See my computer. Okay. Welcome to the episode 4 of the Empowered Wellness Talks. I am Stephanie Collazo, and I am the host of the Empowered Wellness Talks. I created these talks as a way to provide resources to women and experts in the health and wellness field, and be able to help you to know more about ways that you can create healthier lifestyles, be able to bring in more people that are going through their own health journeys. I am both honored and excited to introduce you to my next guest, Michelle Bart. I've had the pleasure of knowing Michelle for a few years now, and I want to be able to bring this amazing person to you. Read a little bit about her bio. Michelle is the president and co-founder of NWCAVE, and it is against violence and exploitation. For the past decade, NWCAVE, under the leadership of Michelle, has built an award-winning national nonprofit being a voice against violence, a voice for children, women, and justice. With over 30 years in the nonprofit and media sectors, Michelle has brought them together to create the organization's Missing Children's Unit, where they specialize in media efforts when children go missing, with the main objective of keeping faces and cases visible through national media outlets, which have resulted in coverages on many, many different networks across the United States. In addition to other programs, she also has a Gift of Lift bra program, which has resulted in collecting and distributing over 20,000 new and gently used bras to women and girls locally, nationally, and internally. As a rape survivor, Michelle saw the need to combat the backlog of rape kits in Washington State and partner with WSU and launch WA Says No More campaign. NWCAVE continues to be nationally known for their ongoing conferences and trainings in all genres of violence, like trafficking, domestic violence, bullying, and internet safety. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Michelle, tell you about her health journey and how our community can come together to help NWCAVE.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes,
Thanks
thank
for
you,
having
Michelle.
me.
Absolutely. You want to tell a little bit about your health journey and what got you to where you are here today?
Okay. Like you and I were speaking earlier, Stephanie, I'm not one to be fake. So I'm not going to beat around the bush with my health journey. I have been a yo-yo dieter my entire life. Most in part because at 17 years old, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And soon after that, osteoarthritis. And soon after that, fibromyalgia. So I'm your walking textbook for autoimmune diseases. And I have been on every kind of medication known in the sector of rheumatology. Everywhere from cortisone, steroids, biologics, DMARDs, NSAIDs, you name it. And all of those medications make you depressed, make you gain weight, make you hungry, which makes you gain weight. And when I was first diagnosed, they had to put me on over 100 milligrams of prednisone in order to reduce the swelling from a surgery that I simply went in to get a cyst removed, and I came out paralyzed. So this active 17-year-old in South Florida with a scholarship in softball had to learn how to walk again. My senior year, I had a key to the elevator in our high school. I had a lot of physical therapy every day of the week, and all because I went into a tailspin from that surgery of removing a pilonidal cyst off of my tailbone, and ultimately had been very toxic in my body for over a year. And my whole life just shifted from that point on. And so I've had to learn throughout the years how to handle that, how to cope with that. Lots of counseling. You know who your friends are when they leave your side, which can be depressing for a 17-year-old. Lots of bad relationships. all of the kind of things that can cause you to stress eat and can cause you to comfort eat. And Friday and Saturday nights, you're on the couch and, oh, a bowl of ice cream. Oh, I guess I'll have another one. Going to the gym was always an intimidation. I knew what I needed to do. I knew what I wanted to do because I was always healthy, and I was a never sick child until my high school year, when I got a lot of different factors coming into play. And then there's a lot of side effects with all the medications I've had to take. So fast forward to 53 years of age. I have been a vegan. I have been a vegetarian. I've done the blood type diet. My mom put me on a plan, a commercialized plan years ago in my 20s, after I was back on my feet. And that plan that I did made me lose 40 pounds. And I was very grateful, but I also had to come off of it because I became allergic to NutraSweet. And so till this day, if I have a diet soda or anything's made with NutraSweet, I get a migraine. And so, you live and learn through the process. And now, nowadays, in the last year since the pandemic hit, I was taken for the last 10 years, 15 years of my life. I've been on biologics, which is, you can take the shots yourself, or in my case, I had been on for 2 years. I was getting infusions. And so they're strong medications, $12,000 a month medications. So I have good insurance that had been covering it. And it helps to slow the process of the deterioration of the rheumatoid arthritis, and in particular osteoarthritis. I've through the gamut from 17 to 53, I've had 2 hip replaced. So both my hips are artificial. My knees were next to go, but once I had the hips done, the knees subsided with pain. My ankles have been, they come and go, they swell up, they go down, but the biologics put me at bay. So I had been doing great, never having to pop a pill again before bed or in the morning. That was always my goal, was not to take any pharmaceuticals other than the injection, the infusion. And in February of 2020, I found myself, like everyone else, listening to the news about the pandemic and COVID. And the one thing with any pharmaceutical you can take, in particular for rheumatology and rheumatic diseases, the side effect, it breaks your immune system down. So the sad part with the biologics, I would be sick 3-4 times a year, and sick to the point where I needed the antibiotics or the breathing treatments and stuff like that. And so I opted, I talked to my rheumatologist at Vancouver Clinic, and she was magnificent. And I just said, listen, I'm not gonna do the medication anymore until we know where this COVID thing is going. Knock on wood, I made the right step. It was a hard step to come off of medication that kept me at bay. But that's when I opted to go back on a nutritional cleansing program I had done a couple years back in 2018. And it works. And so I told my mom, listen, I have to do something. I had ballooned past 210 pounds. I said, I have to do something. The heaviest I've ever been has been 250, and on a 5'3" frame, that's pretty big. And it's not good for my joints or my artificial hips, for that matter. And so I said, I'm going to go on to this plan again, and I want you to join me. So she joined me. My partner, who is a well-known chiropractor in the community, she had started a program and was dropping weight. And I was like, let's get on with her, let's do this together. And then my friend came on, then my sister came on. And so it's been a really great ride, because if I hadn't dropped the weight and started eating cleaner, I don't think the outcome of me stopping my meds would have been as positive as it has been. I've opted to put in my budget massage therapy, Reiki. The Wellness Center also has a Beamer machine. We have acupuncture, chiropractic care, and hypnotherapy, to work on that. Yep. And
That's
counseling.
awesome.
So I still go to counseling. So I opted to, instead of all the copays towards the medication that did well for me, but also the long-term effects, long-term effects, there's a lot of long-term effects with your traditional Western medicine. So I opted to go that route with my life in February of 2020. And I'm down almost 50 pounds. I'm past 60 inches released, and I'm feeling great. And it's been doing wonderful for me to go that route. But I don't want people watching your show saying, oh, she's so fake. I see the food she posts. Well, I do post food. I love food. I was going to be a chef before I got sick in high school. I was in culinary programs and everything. And I opted in college to take a PR class, and I veered on that course. And I'm glad I did, because I've seen the media on both sides. And I know we're going to talk about that in a minute. But, I've made a living in media and public relations. And it's really important for your viewers to understand we're all human. We're all human. And it's so easy in a life of a busy person, a depressed person, a sad person, an emotional person, any individual that has so many aches and pains as I do every day. 80% of the time I'm in excruciating pain, but I just don't talk about it, because I try to focus my energy on other things and staying busy. But when you do that, it's so easy to go through that fast food.
Oh, absolutely.
Go through the coffee stand, and you got to shift your mindset to carry your bottle of water with you at all times, carry your snack, carry the vitamins, and just like, years ago when, you send your child off with a lunchbox, adults need to do the same thing, because at the end of the day, you could be sitting home eating the wrap, which you think is healthy for you, but is it really, compared to a Ezekiel bread wrap with spinach, with lots of veggies, right, vegan cheese, or something of that nature, compared to a wrap you'd get at a drive-through? So absolutely. It's easy to fall through the cracks. And I'll be the first person to say I have done that my entire life. Yeah. I mean, and social media can be your friend or foe. I post everything. People don't understand why. I have 40,000, 50,000 followers on all of our social media outlets, and we have an audience, and I'm just human like the rest of everybody. And if I can help one person, that's all that matters. And so for me, and it keeps me being held accountable to myself as well, by posting, oh, look at what I'm doing. But yeah, I went to the winery, or I went to, oh, I'm having ice cream. I take my nieces every year, the last day of school, to Renaissance ice cream. Well, I eat it that day. I know that's the day I'm going to eat that ice cream. And yeah, I'm going to post it, because why? It's making memories. It's sharing with other people. It's supporting local businesses.
Absolutely.
And for 1 minute, I'm enjoying something and then getting back on to the program. And if you can keep your mindset there, then it's a win-win for you. And you should
Absolutely.
only be doing it for you. So
Exactly. I absolutely agree with that. And I thank you so much for telling your story, because yeah, I can't imagine what you've gone through. I know my mom has suffered, had polio when she was a child, and the years and years that has caused the inflammation and the pain in her body. So I've heard what she's gone through, but has never experienced it myself. So I do, I'm sorry for what you've gone through. I know that sometimes when we go through things, it's the story that helps us get through to help inspire somebody else. So thank you very much for sharing that. I really do appreciate that. And know that we as humans, and I think there was something I read recently, is we are really only in competition with ourselves and what we need to do for ourselves. And I think as a person who myself has suffered, I don't know if it's suffered more or struggled with my weight my whole entire life, and with the relationship to food, it has taken me a lot of years to be able to get to where I don't see food as good and bad, where I see food as nourishing my body, or if I'm choosing not to nourish my body that day, and what we need to get to. And I think that's the huge thing is just realizing that we are all human. I think Brene Brown has a quote out there. It says, the last thing we need to be is to be shamed for being human. And that is something that I try to remember those as we're doing that, because it is really easy to get caught up in what life is. And the food is in front of our faces. It's right there. It's easy, it's accessible. And it is really about taking that little bit of time to be able to plan. I know that getting in the kitchen was huge for us. If we wanted to change our eating habits, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
right.
So absolutely but also knowing that it is a work in progress for probably our whole lives, just to be able to understand what we need for ourselves individually. So I absolutely appreciate you sharing that. And I know while you at a young age had a journey that most of us never ever have to go through. It's such a hard age to be able to be, let alone a teenager going through high school, going through that, to let alone have to go through the struggles that you had to back then. So so glad that you're here today to be able to share that with us, and so glad that you have been able to find the things that have helped you, because I know COVID, absolutely getting your immune system, where you needed to be, what was right for you. And I'm glad you were able to make those and have those other options to be able to help you too.
Definitely. I went through a little scare in the beginning of COVID. We did what a lot of people probably did, shopped less expensive, which meant carbohydrates and breads, wheat. Had a lot of that, drank coffee all day long to keep awake so we're not sleeping the day away, just to watch Lifetime TV or Netflix.
Yeah.
Let's have another cup of coffee so we can watch this next movie.
So we can binge watch that show. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and unlike so many people that only had themselves in their house, my mom and I lived together. And so for 2 months, we didn't see anybody came or went in the house. And it was all carbohydrates. And then I was having some stomach issues, and they would come and go. But the first outing, I was able to get out of the house and go to my partner's home. It was a Sunday morning, and I surprised her with Starbucks. And my whole thing is Sundays, I always used to love espresso and croissants on a Sunday. And so, yeah, so I took that over and we ate it. And about an hour into it, I was in a fetal position on her sofa. and I didn't know what the heck was wrong. And so that went on for a couple weeks with stomach issues. I went through all these testings and everything just went by the wayside as soon as I started cleansing my system out and focusing on the wellness program I put into place for myself. Clean eating, people say, oh, clean eating, oh, she drinks wine. She, oh, did you see her? She ate that carrot cake at Salty's the other night. Yeah, I did. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know my limits, and I was never a sharer. No, get your own plate.
Oh.
Now, when I go out, my partner and I, we always, are you in the mood for this? Sure. We share a meal, and we do it so that we're not getting the calories and fat. We don't do it for the price. We do it for that purpose.
Right.
And so learning the system, what works for you, but you have to do it for you.
Right.
If I want to have a glass of wine, if I want to have a Starbucks, which I'm completely addicted to, or any of the coffee houses in this town, if I want to go to Blue Door Bakery and get my croissant from Bonnie, damn it, I'm going to do it. Exactly. But I will know I will adjust what I'm going to do the rest of the day and the next day. Absolutely. And the same goes for activity. With my arthritis, my entire life, if I go hiking and I hike 10 miles, I know I better have nothing planned the next day because I need to rest my body. If I could sleep better, that would be a good thing, because anybody of my age, but people especially with rheumatic diseases, should get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and I'm not getting good sleep. But ultimately, you have to be your best advocate for yourself.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes,
you do. You can't listen to the naysayers that post comments and try to argue with you on these podcasts and stuff, because they're only a reflection of what they're going through. Mm-hmm. And you have to have empathy for them and wish them well and ignore their comment. We very seldom try to block or delete anyone, because we want them to have their First Amendment rights on saying what they feel. But we live in a mean society. I run an anti-violence organization that I founded, and I can tell you that it's a reflection of the individual posting the comment. It's not about you. And exactly. If we can, and I take everything, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I take everything personal, but sometimes I forget what I tell clients, and that is, don't read the comments. Yeah, but once in a while you have to. But even as a rape survivor, and I was interviewed by NBC for Me Too a few years ago, and I got a lot of backlash on that too. And it's just like, okay, it's a reflection on your opinion. That's who you want. But if my story helps one person, that's all that matters. And so and I had a very good teacher. I've had many good teachers in my life, but it was my home economics teacher that became like my best friend. Come August 7th, she'll have been gone. She died of cancer in 2013. And Rita was wonderful, but she was the one that got me involved in nonprofits and bike-a-thons and helping the homeless at the Salvation Army and everything else. And so when you look at life from 9th grade all the way till the time I'm 53, all the work I'm doing, and she loved food too, but she was healthy compared to me. She would eat healthier and walk every day. But I always had excuses, and she always said, everybody has an excuse, Michelle. No more excuses. And years later, now that we're involved with our partners at No More Foundation, one of our biggest hashtags is no more excuses. And of course, it's implying on violence and domestic violence and sexual assault, but there are no more excuses. Excuses don't go too far when you're sitting in ICU because you've just had a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
From eating 10 hamburgers or something.
Right.
So I always have to think before I eat and think of what's going to make me happy at the time. Who am I eating with? What am I eating for? And ultimately how much work I'm going to have to do the next day to feel better. Because what we put in our mouth, and how we stress out and how we worry, all of that also affects our joints, our stress levels, things that you don't think are being impacted. I have a thing going on with my wrist. I just had my wrist drained today and shot up with cortisone because I slept on it wrong, camping a week and a half ago. And I kept on trying to do everything I could to it, but because I have arthritis and because I enjoyed salties one night this week and because I've had vino this week, it flared more than it probably would have. And so now it was taken care of by my rheumatologist today, and I'm on prednisone for a few more days. But then I also know moon face, and different factors that the prednisone can cause if I don't watch what I'm doing. So this has been with me all day. I just came from our first meeting at La Ti Da, and I was craving one of Scott's items in the bake shop, but instead I had carrots and hummus. Because I know I'm on the prednisone, I have to work 3 times as hard.
Right.
So it's almost a thinking process. And
absolutely.
it's taken many years to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I want to raise my hand to the things you're saying, because I get that. And I get that you are just 100% saying it's about being an advocate for yourself only, because you are an individual body. I always say everybody is different and everybody is different. And everybody's way of doing it. Exactly. Yep. And so, well, as a mom, I try to model what for my kids, but I realize that they have their own. I have my husband and both my boys have an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's. And so I absolutely know that I need to advocate for them, but also they're going to get to a point where they realize the foods that they eat and how they affect their body. I can't choose that for them. I might be able to help guide them, but they're going to feel how that food is in their body. And it takes a lot of years to learn. Sometimes we don't get the choice how we learn it. And sometimes it happens because of another thing that happened to us. And so absolutely. But I think it's just being a huge advocate and realizing that everybody is going to do it different. That's the one thing I want all of the people that join the Clean Food Mama blog or go through the Empowered Wellness Talks is to know that we bring in all of this because everybody is different. And that's what makes us all unique. But that also means that we don't need to do it because somebody else does it that way. And we don't need to ever shame somebody because they didn't do it the same way that somebody else did. And that's huge for me, because I know that in my life, I struggled because people wanted me. And I was at that point where I'm like, oh, I want to do just exactly what you tell me to do because I want to fit in. When in the fact is I wasn't able to be who I was anyway, health-wise, emotional, whatever it was, because of so much worry about what the other people wanted.
And that's very important with the shaming of individuals. I mean, my partner is on one program and I'm on a different program. And we're both, we're over 100 pounds together down. Awesome. And we're feeling great, but my program is no better than hers and vice versa. It's each person's opinion, and likes and dislikes. And like you said, what works for one, I remember when I was an ambassador for the Arthritis Foundation in Southern California years ago, they taught us during the self-help training classes and the train the trainer, if you take a Tylenol and I take a Tylenol for our headaches, my headache may go away and yours won't. If you take a Motrin and I take a Motrin, yours may go away and mine won't. It's because we're all chemically different, and our bodies are so different. And what works for you, you could have a glass of wine, I could have a glass of wine, and one of us get a DUI, you know. And why? Because, well, maybe one of us don't drink and the other one is used to it, or you know, everybody's body is different.
Absolutely.
And so it comes to the same part where, you know, people who are overweight, you know, some people are overweight because of genes, you know, and you're born certain ways. And so you've got to just embrace everybody and try to be empathetic. But if you, like my grandmother always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it, you know, and let people, you know, live their life.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to tell you, you know, to, you know, put something down just because you're enjoying it and I don't want it. You know, I mean, that's just rude. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, though, you have to do what's best for you.
Yes, exactly.
And some people choose surgeries. You know, I've chose hip replacements. I had a complete breast reduction, and because that helped alleviate the arthritis, the stenosis in my spine. Insurance paid for it. I said, sure, you know. So these are things that you learn along the way, what's best for yourself. But, you know, ultimately, you know, I want to see my nieces grow up. I've lived 53 years. I want 53 more years. But the reality of rheumatoid arthritis, you know, it cuts kind of your life expectancy down. But if I'm not on the medications that break your system down, that's what I'm aiming for. And
absolutely.
so, but you just have to be your best advocate. And clean eating it's everybody's different opinion.
Absolutely.
Your photos make me hungry every day. I love your pictures. I love your artwork. But what clean eating may imply, oh, you can only have this. No, I remember when I thought I was a vegan. I started it as a blood type diet that I was doing for the arthritis. And I moved here. I was a size 9, 10. I was 130 pounds when I moved here 13 years ago from California. And my nieces would tell me, you're not a vegan, Aunt Shell. You're eating that graham cracker. And I'm like, huh? They said, there's honey in it, you know? And so for 4 years, I said I was a vegan. I bought the vegan magazine. I was a PETA follower and all of this. And I still believe that's the good way to go. Plant-based is definitely one of the safest ways to go. But it was like, oh, I guess that you're right. And these are 3 and 4-year-olds at the time telling me this. So
I get that. I've learned, you know, we chose to go plant-based after a recommendation from my husband's doctor when he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And you were talking to a family that was meat eaters. And one thing that we encourage in Clean Food Mama is that you don't have to be plant-based. We just want to help you learn more that plant foods can actually taste delicious, be fun, and just getting more in your life is always a benefit to anybody else. Realizing that not everybody is going to be solely plant-based, even though I am now, and that's just a choice because I've learned what's for my body. My kids might still have an egg that might be in a bread or something. I haven't gone that way just because I know that my body is struggling with some things when it does eat it that way. But absolutely, it's more about the fact is years ago, I wasn't a cook. I actually didn't even enjoy being in the kitchen. I actually probably could burn water back then. And
I know
so,
somebody that's done that.
yeah. And I mean, if I'm not paying attention, I probably could still do it. But my biggest thing is getting in the kitchen and then finally learning to love, to make the foods that tasted good. And I can tell you, I would not have a husband or kids that would have gone on any journey with me if they did not taste good. And that is that I just want to show people that that healthy food can be fun, delicious.
Mhm.
Add some spices in it here. Um, add some more plant foods that we might not know about. Add some more sweet potatoes in, and just add those to your main dishes. Add them to your chicken dishes if you want to. Add them to what you're having, and just get some more plant foods. Is now become my mission, because I know the benefits that it's helped me and so much, and I want to be able to share that with other people. And I think a lot of it is once we went more plant based, I actually found foods that tasted good. I
Right.
didn't realize they tasted so good. And
We now opt for cauliflower rice and
yeah.
cauliflower garlic mashed potatoes in place of what we used to have. When we have pasta dishes, we'll have brown rice pasta,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
turkey, meatballs, what have you. But then we'll have they have cauliflower breadsticks now.
Oh,
And
wow. I
so
haven't
we'll
tried
put
that.
olive oil on them and pour some garlic powder over them and pretend we're at Olive Garden,
Yeah.
you know?
I'll
But
have to try that. I didn't know they had those.
yep, in the frozen section. I think it's Green Giant or one of
Okay.
those things. But have you been to Elements Restaurant downtown?
No, I have not.
I'm just name dropping all these
Yeah,
businesses,
no,
which I
no. And
think
you are an awesome
fabulous.
supporter of small businesses. And
They're
yeah.
fabulous, but Elements, oh my
Mm,
gosh, great restaurant.
awesome.
It's a great date night place.
Okay.
Everything is farm to table.
Oh, wow.
Um, you think you're eating one thing, and then it's a mushroom risotto kind of
Oh,
thing,
wow.
and it's just delicious.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
try Elements downtown.
Oh,
They're
definitely.
great.
Well, and I think now that we're all, Washington State opened back up, I think it was June 30th, that everything's now opening back up. And I can imagine that's where everybody rushed to, was the places that we weren't
Yeah,
able to go to for so long. So it'll be really nice to be able to get back to that, but also being able to support those businesses that are trying to
definitely.
have
I mean,
struggling
I'm
to.
still in the same, scope of things, especially now being on prednisone right now. I'm wearing my mask everywhere,
Mhm.
just because and I've had my shots and all of that. But what I've learned is actually the mask has protected me from the flu this year.
Mm,
This is the first time I didn't have the flu. Learning how to sanitize my hands more, you know, but I'm saying this because again, that works for me.
exactly. And
So don't
you took care of you, advocated for you. And that's, I think,
exactly.
exactly.
So if I'm wearing a mask, it shouldn't insult you and
Yeah.
it shouldn't anger you. Keep your comments to yourself.
Yeah.
And this works for me. The
Yeah.
same goes for what you may be doing that I may not like,
Right.
and if we could all learn that, then our nonprofit wouldn't be needed.
Mm,
So
yeah. And I think that's, it's being a person that has struggled with her weight most of her life. It's amazing how it's been hard being part of society when your size, I felt like my size defined me for so many years. And I'm getting to a point where, yeah, I've lost 100 and some odd pounds. I've done it a couple of times, getting to a point where I'm feeling good in myself and walking out in public and feeling good about it, but still getting the looks. Having children that have struggled with their weight and getting the looks when you go in a restaurant or something is, again, that's the last thing that we need, is the
right,
support to realize that we don't know what is happening in that person's life that got them to where they are at, or if it's a struggle, or we don't know that the person that when they eat something is part of a depression. We don't know that, and we don't know the person's story, but the last thing that people need is being shamed. And that's
exactly.
absolutely what I love to support people. I love being able to cheer people on, because I know that when somebody's going through a struggle, sometimes just that little inspiration or that little bit of hope that they get from somebody else can mean the whole difference to them through their day and their journey and their
I
life.
agree
And
with you. I agree with you. And that might be a good segue, if you don't mind, on the
Absolutely.
nonprofits that I do work
Yes,
with.
yes, thank you.
Um,
Yes.
the NWCAVE is the National Women's Coalition Against Violence and Exploitation, and it was an organization that a few of us started back in 2000 and 2010, 2011. By 2012, we became a 501c3, and it was an anti-violence organization that the sole purpose in the beginning was to build shelters for human trafficking victims. But as we went along, we saw that why should we try to fix what's broken? Why not prevent it from happening for the next generation? So that's why we chose to form an anti-violence organization and focus on all the parodies that actually have some characteristics that lead to trafficking. So, like domestic violence, sexual assault, rape, even gun violence, and hate, LGBTQ, hate crimes, internet safety, kidnapping, abductions, all of this kind of hate in the world and violence in the world can lead to worse things, if not human trafficking, something else. And so we decided to form the organization. We have Gift of Lift, which is our fun program, if you will. We've collected actually over 40,000 bras now and
That's
distributed
awesome.
them. That's a very active program. We have bras, so of all sizes, shapes, and colors. So anybody listening to your show, we distribute those to communities who need them locally, nationally, and internationally. They benefit women and girls. We're in 5 school districts during the school year at the Family Resource Centers for the girls that can't afford bras or who are homeless. And so we have those. We also have our Dignity Clothing Program, which we have partnered with Peace Health. And we provide clothing, primarily new clothing from our partners at Walmart to the hospital for those that come through emergency, social services, etc., that are homeless, that sexually assaulted, raped, and their clothes have to be taken as evidence. We provide clothing for them to go home in. We also have WA Says No More, which is Washington Says No More. That's our domestic violence and sexual assault arm. We work statewide with legislators to end the backlog of rape kits throughout the state of Washington, as well as other initiatives on domestic violence and sexual assault. Under Washington Says No More, we will be hosting our No More Summit that we've had to put on the back burner. It was to take place this year. It will take place March in 2022. And so that will take place, as well as our Dinner and Dreams Gala that we'll be announcing soon on the dates of those in March. And that's our anti-violence conference. And so we'll be doing a lot of webinars and activities and programs with WSU on all their campuses through the state. We also have our Missing Children's Division, where police and families come to us to help get the word out about a missing child. And we work as the liaison with the police department and the family. So we work with the family so that they always have someone working with them on other things like flyer distribution, printing, media, representation. So reporters call us and not the families, etc. And we have a great partnership with Vancouver Police Department and Clark County Sheriff's Office on a local level for that, as well as the FBI in Portland.
Oh, wow.
And then we also have our training and education unit that will be ramping up again. We have our Women's Festival that was supposed to be last August. Then it was going to be July 31st of this year. Now it's going to be summer of 2023. So like every nonprofit, we had to fix things that kind of got shuffled with COVID. And so that will be at Bethany Winery in the summer of 2023. And that's a music festival. I like to say it's kind of like Lilith Fair meets Woodstock. And so that's what NWCAVE does. And we've been around 10 years, very active in the community. Through that, we have a lot of great partnerships with Council for the Homeless, Columbia Dance, as well as PAL, Police Activities League, and so many others that we're honored to partner with. I sit on the steering committee for the chief of police for the chief diversity advisory team. CDAT is what it's called. And I'm also on the board of directors at the FBI Citizens Academy. And together with those two entities, we're always working on justice and other anti-violence efforts. We work closely with the Domestic Violence Prosecution Center, which Detective Wallstein is over at. So we work with them, which led to the Dignity Clothing program. So it definitely takes a village. And when we're called to the table, we're all volunteer. We are working on hiring staff this year now that COVID has passed. But all these years, we've been 100% volunteers. So for us, we sit down with our partners and see what the need is. If it fits with our mission and we can make it happen, we try to work with them. And that's what we're CASA, court-appointed special advocates that are appointed by the court system here in Clark County. I was honored to be a CASA for many years. They have now, they will be parting ways with the YWCA come January. So I am so honored to be serving as their interim president. And again, folks will say, well, you know, you're part of all these organizations. Well, there's one big mission and objective, and that's keeping kids safe, keeping our community safe, and being able to combat and end violence in our society, and be a voice for justice. And while you're doing all of this, you know, the easiest thing to do is let your guard down and go through that drive-through, you know, or eat that candy bar.
Absolutely.
You know, like I was saying in the interim, it's, you know, the scientists out there, they will tell you that these companies put sugar in every single thing that we eat, from spaghetti sauce to everything. And if you're not eating the sugar, you're eating the substitute that causes issues. So it's a vicious cycle. And so for me, it's like, you know, how many of us can eat one M&M? I need the bag. I don't know about the rest of you. And now they have the king bags, you know.
Oh yeah, king size everything, right?
Yeah, and then they start wrapping things. So like Reese's peanut butter cups, the little cups you get, they're wrapped. Oh, that will be so much, you know, that's, I'm too lazy for this. Open one. No, you want the whole bag. So you still keep opening, you know. I go through, I need my coffee, you know. I can't just stop at one sip. I need the whole shebang, the 20 ouncer, you know. And so they're making a killing us, you know.
Great point.
And it's hard for me to envision and say that, but it's the truth. And I encourage your viewers to tune into Katie Couric's documentary she did a few years ago. It's mind-boggling to see what sugar's in. It's very hard to cancel out sugar. And I know a lot of vegans that once they go vegan, then they cut out salt and sugar. And my mom, who has stopped smoking years ago, it was very hard once she put down the cigarette not to keep filling the ice cream bowl. So we
Needed something
compensate.
for switching. Yeah, absolutely.
We
I've had family
compensate.
members. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I know what's best for us and what we're supposed to do. But again, I'm human, and
Life happens.
life happens,
Yep.
death happens, and people go for comfort food when somebody dies. You're getting married, people go to comfort food and celebration food.
Yep.
Birthdays happen, and so all of this, there's always an excuse, and it's okay if you choose to do something that you want to do because it's you, and then you figure out how to overcome it later, because it's your body and no one has control over it.
Absolutely.
So but we're all human, and I think after watching 3 of your episodes, I listened to the folks that you've had on, and it's you have to just say, we're all human. We can pick and choose our battles, but there are battles because we're digesting it. So whether you clean eat with just plain water and veggies, or you clean eat with a glass of wine and a cucumber, it's your choice. And so so that's why I felt very compelled to when you invited me on this show, Stephanie, to be able to say, I'm not going to fake it. Because I'm a public person, I guess. People see me on TV, they see me on the internet, they see my posts. Oh, why is she posting that? She's on a diet. Well, it's my post. Who cares?
It's your social media.
It's
your
my
life.
social media. I'm allowed to post pictures. I'm allowed to, eat food. I can eat a carrot cake, but tomorrow I may have 3 shakes instead of a meal. So you pick and choose. And so,
absolutely.
But I appreciate you giving me a chance to come on, and I'm so very proud of you, because I've known you for some time, and it was an organization I was introduced to you through that I didn't even recognize you when you came in to see me one day. I was like, whoa, and you've worked really hard on yourself. And I'm so happy you're happy, because that's the goal.
And it is. And thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I want to say thank you for years later that maybe the chef school didn't work out so well, because the advocate you were able to be for yourself and for the community and for people all over the country has been absolutely what has made a difference in this world. And so I want to really thank that.
But I am a hell of a cook. So
so you get it on the other side of it.
My chicken piccata is out of this world, and I can make a mean vegan chili. So
so maybe I'll have come over for dinner sometime. That sounds good.
There you go. Hey, let's have a dinner party.
Yeah, that sounds good. No, and thank you so much for just sharing, because I think that we so much, there's times I've gotten scared to share what I've eaten. We have a great Mexican restaurant here in town that serves, we call them the veggie burritos. And I'll call her, and she knows my name, and she's like, yeah. I said, can you give us the veggie burritos? She teased me one day and said, would you like me to put sour cream with that? And I said, no, I don't need it, because they are just absolutely amazing for what she's made them. And I had no clue that you can have vegetable burritos that had all this wonderful stuff in it. And, so I'll share that kind of stuff on my social media. And it's the last thing that we need is to be shamed for what we're eating, when we are so much trying to do our best and we don't know each person's story, but also knowing when that person comes from the heart of just being real and being authentic and being themselves, we actually inspire other people to realize that they don't have to be perfect. Coming from a person that's overcoming perfectionism absolutely is something that helps inspire other people. So I thank you so much for telling your story. I was going to just ask you if there was any events that your organization had this next year. I'm so happy to be able to have you share about those coming back. And tell us, how can Clean Food Mama and the public support NWCAVE too?
Just visit us at nwcave.org, like us on Facebook, all of our social media. Our link is NWCAVE. So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and Facebook is where most folks get their information about what we're doing.
Perfect.
And we're here to help. And if we can help an organization that your viewers are involved with, just give us a call. We're happy to do what we can, because together it does take a village, and we can definitely live in a safe and clean environment.
That's a good one. I like that. And thank you so much, Michelle. And I'll go ahead and add all that information into the YouTube channel where they can connect with you also. And I very much want to thank you again for sharing your story. And
if anyone wants to volunteer for CASA, visit CASAClarkCounty.org.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle.